Hello everyone, welcome to Canteen Cup. My name is Scott. Just a quick video this morning. I've been real busy lately, so I haven't had a lot of time to do a lot of video creation and uploading. It's a busy week. Hopefully it'll lighten up, but you got to make hay while the sun is shining. Before I go further, I want to thank everyone who has joined my Patreon channel. I appreciate your support. I am grateful for you, and I will try to make sure I get some good content out there. For those of you that are not on my Patreon channel, please join. Here lately, a lot of my content has been available to everyone, but there are some topics I want to talk about, some things I may want to show that I don't want to go in the general YouTube community. So there is going to be some Patreon only videos. Um, so I encourage you to join. I have one subscription fee. It's $1 a month. That's the lowest I can go. So that's it. Help me help you. This does take time. It does take planning. And so it consumes a bit of time for me just to do even a short video like the one I'm going to do today. So today, just a kind of a quick subject. We are kind of in between lockdowns, or at least we're finishing up with one lockdown and maybe going into another one this fall. There's no rhyme to reason to these things. You watch the news or you listen to people. On the one hand, got to have lockdowns. It's the only thing that'll save the world. On the other hand, lockdowns don't do any good. And then the same thing with our elected officials. Some elected officials say, oh yeah, we got a lockdown. You can protest, scream and shout, carry on, burn cities to the ground. But on the other hand, you can't go to church and you can't sing songs and you can't gather more than 10 at a time. So, and I don't really want to get into that part of it. However, I do want to talk about getting ready. And there are plenty of videos out there, that talk about getting ready. And, of course, my mantra. I'm going to say it again, and I'll say it over and over and over again. Because really, prepping is kind of that simple. Do you have enough food? Do you have enough water? Can you maintain sanitary conditions? And can you defend your family? Now, there's a lot of other stuff that goes with that, but if you work on those four things, that'll help you be prepared. So, I've done a lot of videos on that, and a lot of other people have done videos on that. And so, for most of you that, watch my channel or some of these other channels, you know the deal. You know what you got to do, so now you have to go out and do it. But one of the things I wanted to talk about is if we go into another lockdown, and that may or may not happen. Like I said, there's a lot of variables. What's your local government going to do? Out here by me, it was not so much. We voluntarily quarantined ourselves, and in the work I do, we have methods to social distance / quarantine ourselves. So, we've got that covered, but it all depends on what your government, what your local elected officials are going to do. And if you live in some of these cities, and I hate to say it, but some of these democratic cities, you you may be locked into your house. There's some really weird stuff going on in Australia right now, and um, if you aren't subscribed to Viking Preparedness, that's another good channel to go to. He puts out a lot of good information. They're doing really weird stuff in like Melbourne, Australia, and it could come here. Our elected officials may look over there and say, "Oh, that's a good idea." Uh, could some of this stuff be politically motivated? Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. The more people that are locked in, the less they can vote. Or, we can allow mail-in voting, so we can stuff the ballots that way. Just saying. But really, what I want to talk about is something that we don't talk about, and that is during a lockdown going stir crazy. And we saw some of that in this past lockdown where people were getting antsy, people were, climbing the walls because they did not know how to amuse and or occupy themselves. And so my suggestion today is, as a part of your preps, do something to relax your mind. In other words, if you stay in the turmoil of prepping and doomsday prophesying and all this other stuff, that builds up a lot of stress in your body, and that could cause you to go into an overstressed situation. Then your body goes into that fight or flight scenario. Even though you're not fighting or flighting, your body's ramping up to do that, and that causes you to do different things. There's a part of your brain, they call it the reptile brain, that as your stress levels come up, that part kind of starts taking over. And so sometimes some of that rational thought you have goes away. And even though you're not fighting or flighting, your mind is still prepared for that type of response. And so it's why people are climbing the walls, because they feel they have to. My suggestion today, and I'll tell you some things I do, is you need to have a way to escape. You need to have a way to de-escalate yourself. And is it is it is it really a prepping topic? Is it really a prepping item? Well, yes and no. It's not food, it's not bullets, it's not guns, it's not knives, it's not gardens, it's not, but it's for you to help you maintain a level of sanity. And what I'm going to recommend is, as we get ready for this future and maybe future lockdowns, we don't know how this is going to happen, we don't know how this is going to change the world, let you get yourself a hobby. Something rather benign. And I don't, in this case, I don't recommend shooting or any, the martial arts stuff. I'm talking about something kind of completely removed, and that could be any number of things. If you're an artist, draw. If you're a painter, paint. Um, if you're a reader, read. But something, kind of disconnected from preparing, to give your mind that rest, to help rejuvenate your thought processes. One of the things that I like to read, and so I keep books. Kindle is my friend. I really like Kindle. One of the things I like about Kindle is, number one, they're ebooks, and you buy them, you keep them forever. They're stored on the Amazon servers, and I don't have a ton of books in my home. I have the books I need or I feel I need, and then the rest is kind of on my Kindle. And if they go away, it's no big deal. It's mostly fiction anyhow. But one of the things that Kindle does have is what they call Kindle Unlimited, which is like a Kindle library where I can get a book for free. I can keep up to 10 books in my library, and if I want book number 11, I have to get rid of one of the first 10. And they're free. So I get them, I read them, I can keep them as long as I want, and then I turn them back in. So I like that. Another thing that I do, and this goes back to my sons, and all my sons now are, at least in their mid-30s, is they are, my kids grew up in electronic world, so they are gamers of many different sorts. They electronically game, they do role-playing games, they play D&D and a few other things. And when I was growing up with them, I gamed with them, you know, and it was kind of fun. I did some D&D and I did some Warhammer 40K, yes, tactical stuff, and it was a lot of fun. But one of the aspects of those games is you have little miniatures about that big, and you buy them unpainted, and part of that hobby is painting the miniatures and really trying to make them nice, and then you use those miniatures in the game. Well, that was kind of fun. Growing up, we used to have paint parties, and my sons would come over to the house and they'd bring their friends, and sometimes we'd all sit around the kitchen table and just paint, and we'd chat and have fun. And it allowed me to interact with my kids, and it allowed me to kind of keep tabs on who they were hanging out with. So there was benefits there. But however, I really enjoyed the idea of painting the miniatures. And so now I've kind of gone back to, I don't game anymore, but I paint the miniatures. And it's, it gives me a level of concentration that allows me to forget about the rest of the world for an hour or two. And I have enjoyment. And then when I'm done, I can look at it and say, oh, that was fun. I did that. And, I don't necessarily use them in a game anymore, but I paint them, and they're small, so I can store them. It's not like I have, big, huge things for them. The paints are a little pricey, but a little thing of paint will last you about forever, unless you're a big, what they call an army painter. But it's something to do. And I have a couple figures, and I have a couple, monsters that I can paint and have fun, and I can either give them to my kids for them to use when they play their games, or I can kind of store them. If they need a particular monster, I can give it to them. But it's it's just something to do. So that's really all I have for today. Just giving you something else to think about, is to give yourself a release, give yourself an opportunity to kind of withdraw from this prepping world a little bit, and take an hour or two, maybe a couple hours a week, to just do something else and give your mind a rest. And that'll help you in the long run when things really get bad, because I have been in situations where I've been really stressed out, and I am a different person. And being able to, kind of reset my mind is a good thing. So whatever your venture is, go ahead and pursue it. If you're a game player like chess or checkers or Parcheesi, whatever, make sure you have those in the house. If you're a drawer slash painter, make sure you have, art paper, canvas, sketch pads. Make sure you have pens, pencils, paints, whatever your medium is. If you're a sculptor, clay. If you're like me, make sure you have plenty of those little miniatures, because this last lockdown, when I decided to get back into it, it was hard to find paints, because a lot of the paints come from Europe, and they shut down those. Maybe not all of them, but a lot of them you couldn't get because they weren't making them, because in Europe they were shut down. So, give yourself a little stockpile. I mean, for me, those little figures I can get for $2 or $4 a piece, and the paints are anywhere from, say, $1.50 to about $4 a jar. Brushes are reusable, but make sure you have enough supplies to give you something to do. When you're locked down and you've done all your chores and you're feeling a little stressed, give yourself that opportunity to go do something else for a while to, we'll say, sharpen that saw, as Stephen Covey would say. Stephen Covey, that is, in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. A very good book, by the way. So that's all I got. I just wanted to touch base with everybody. Make sure you all are well. Make sure you all are getting ready. And, you know, in the grand scheme of things, don't stop your preps and switch over to 100% getting ready for your hobby, but you know, take a little bit of that money you use and put it towards a hobby. Make sure you have a way to take care of yourself, not only physically, but emotionally and mentally. So that's it, everybody. Stay safe and stay secure. We'll see you.